Hello, everyone. I'd like to open up this meeting for our budget 2015. If anybody has any questions, please address the board. All right. And we're going to rise now and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by my chief, Mike Lynch.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have copies of the budget up here.
Yes, please, Neil.
Okay. This is the budget for the 2015 South Salem Fire District. The inside page, the first page, page 1, which is profit and loss budget versus actual, is the projected budget for next year, which is what we've discussed. It is 660. It is a budget of 680,000, of which we'll be asking for 660,000 versus on property taxes and 20,000 for appropriated fund balance. That budget is then broken down on the following page into some of the subcategories. So if you look at the second page, you would see payroll taxes, firefighter equipment, radio, equipment, supplies, and training would lump together to line item 502-01, which is equipment, so that's how we get to the 68.5. And then these are some of the other subcategories. Firefighter apparatus appropriation is a new line item this year, which will coincide with the discussion later of the financing. Certiorari, professional fees, and audit. This year, our certiorari payments were down a little bit. However, there are still several pending. And most of the other items then fall into place in the main abstract of the budget. If you go to the back page of the budget, what you can do is you can see a breakdown of what our actual 2013 budget was, what our original 2014 budget, what our modified 2014 budget is, what I estimate our year-end expenses to be for 14, and then our proposed 15. Obviously, in some cases, there's some large projects still outstanding. We know that the air compressors still to come in, and we have a lot of fuel and light bills to come in. So that's where you have the jumps from 2014 to proposed 2015, where you have the jump, for example, in fuel and lights from 37,000 to 49.5, maintenance from 35,000 to 40. I dropped improvements. Mostly that's building improvements, because we did several projects this year, and some of the that also includes the dry hydrants. Equipment maintenance, I increased telephone, legal and audit the same, fire prevention is the same. That line item, 520-01, is the fitness trainer downstairs. Insurance, you can see that we're slightly increasing. Employment tax is about the same. We dropped the employment retirement benefit line that we did not use this year. Certiorari, we're keeping just about the same, although according to the town, that's kind of leveled off. So this past year, we had 639.5 was our real property tax revenue, which is $4.02 per thousand. Basically, in 2012, we were 386. In 2013, 399. In 2014, 402. We've seen our assessed valuation drop from 163,000 in 2012 down to about 159 million this year. I expect it to be, based on conversations with the tax assessor, it's kind of leveled off, but she says there are still some certiorari's. We expect the assessed valuation to be about 158.5. So if we increase the budget, if we keep the overall budget the same, this year as we did last year, which is 680, but increase our real property tax revenue from 639.5 to 660, which does fall below our allowable levy by the state based on the fact that we were flat last year. We're allowed a 1.5% carryover from the previous year, which would be about 9,000 plus. So our allowable tax levy would be about 661,000, not to exceed the property tax limitation margin. We're coming in, I'm recommending 660. The difference of 20 would come from what we call our unappropriated, unreserved fund balance. Last year we took over we brought 40,000 over to help to cover the budget. This year I'm recommending 20. That would still leave a couple $100,000 of unreserved fund balance in the account, which is usually what we use to carry us through May until we get the property tax check from the town. So the proposed 2015 would, at 660,000, would be an estimated tax rate of $4.17 per thousand, depending upon where the ultimate assessed valuation does come out. That ends up being 3.58 if you take the 1.5%, and then, as I say, the allowable carryover. The estimated cost per household would be about $250 if you take an average assessed valuation of about 60,000, and that's about $10 difference from 2014. Where does that stand compared to some of the other departments around? I believe Bedford Village was a little around the low $4 range. Vista's $11.70. Golden's Bridge was up around $8. Both Katona and Bedford Hills were also above $8. We're in the 8 to 10 range, as far as I remember. That's the abstract of the budget, and if anybody, we can break it down further if you wish. As far as reserves, we have in addition to our cash on hand, we do have our equipment reserve. We have 2 repair reserves, both building related. And then, as I say, the general cash in the account, which shows the money market. At this point, to the end of the year, we have 224,000 unspent appropriations. And as I say, I do expect a decent chunk of that will be spent by year end. I'm estimating, depending upon how many more projects we get done, but also with the fuel bills still to come in, and the compressor and some of the other line items that will be filled out. I'm figuring we'll probably end up the year with a small surplus, which will of course help carry forth, which will also weigh into some of our future plans about funding the personal protection equipment reserve and also other projects.
Thank you, Neil.
Neil, one point, I don't know if I missed it, but what would be the increase, the percentage?
It's about 3.58. If you take, I think it was like a little over, let me see here. Let me just get a calculator here. If we take 600, 660, minus 631.5, so it would be 20,500 if you divide that by, say, 158.5. It's basically about 13 cents, so I figured it to be roughly about 3.58% or
3.5.
something.
And with that, we're talking, you said on average $10 per household?
Yeah, if you take $4 and like right now is 402 times 60 is basically $241. So if you take 417 times 60, that's $250. So say, for example, I'm just,
I just want to make that clear, because 3.8 sounds like a lot, but $10 per household sounds like nothing.
So there's no question about that, but look at some of the items.
And also I wanted to say that last year we had no increase.
Right, last year, what we did last year was we kept the budget flat at 639.5, and that's what allows us to have
1.5 carryover.
not the 1.5 carryover. So, you're supposed to, you're supposed to have basically a 2% or rate of inflation. So we kept it flat last year. They have a formula that allows you to take a certain percentage, like 1.5%, give or take, and they calculate an allowable limit. This is the state controller's office, and basically our tax levy for 2014 was 639.5 with the gross base factor and the allowable levy growth factor. We would have been, and with the carryover that we would have been having from fiscal 2014, which was 97.65. Theoretically, our total levy before adjustments would have been 661.060. So what I'm suggesting is coming in just slightly below that at 660, which is bringing a little bit forward of the unexpended proceeds. So therefore, it does not override the tax cap.
That was gonna be my next question. That question has been answered.
So,
And since we didn't do an increase, just looking at it with a quick math, like Commissioner Schmidt was, it's under 3.5 because we didn't do an increase last year. So we're
well,
doing
no,
pretty good
the 3.5 is
for this year.
right, but it's, as I say, it's a, it's one and a, it's the carryover plus to go the difference of
Yeah.
basically the difference. So you're looking at it as the 660 number and not like, okay, 1.5 and then another 2.
Here's the bottom line, $250 per household.
If,
Average.
Well, you have to look at the average.
Which
There are
is
still some,
pretty good buy.
there are still some certiorari payments that the town has, and we've been pretty lucky. I don't think we've been hit as hard as some of our neighboring departments as far as having to pay back the town. But there are still some pennies, and that affects the valuations, and that certainly affects the overall tax rate. I don't know, if you guys have any questions about any of the line items?
you wanna go through the line items?
Yeah. Neil went through them. What are we gonna do? If anybody has a question, any questions?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Regarding our project, which we might not be able to afford this year, which is painting the bay walls and sealing, how could we get that project completed for next year?
Well, you have your building repair reserve funds.
Okay,
As I say, you've got 2 building repair reserve funds, one which has $246,000 in it right now, another one which has $100,000. This year, we authorized, when we did all the lighting projects, all the lighting upgrades and all that work, and the window replacements and such, we authorized $50,000 up to $50 from one of those reserve funds to pay. However, to move that money, and that's when we had the public hearing about authorizing up to 50, and I believe those projects included the bay lighting, the window, Kevin, what else?
Fire doors.
The fire doors. There are still some other pieces of that need to be completed,
Okay.
as you know, the electrical. However, we have not moved, we usually wait to the end of the year to move that,
Yes.
money. And right now, depending upon where we come in as far as where we come in under improvements, because of some of the other projects that perhaps didn't fall into place yet, and depending upon, we don't necessarily have to move that money until the year end. So that repair reserve would still be available.
okay,
And, so you've got those 2 repair reserves that would require, the use of those 2 repair reserves require a public hearing to use the money, but certainly those funds are available depending upon what you choose to do with some of the other building projects that you might be considering.
okay.
Commissioner? Anything? Move forward. Move forward. Any other questions?
That's all I really have right now. That's all I have for right now.
We reviewed this already, Stan.
Well, I know, that's where I was going with that. Okay, well. Now what do?
Well,
We wait to see if any more
you
public
wait,
shows up?
you wait to see if there's any questions that do relate to the budget, and certainly at the end of the evening, I would hope that you would have a motion to
Oh, well, there's no question.
pass the budget, so I can submit it, so I can
What did the
submit it
paper
to-
say, Neil, hour-wise? What is, it said 7:30?
Well, yes, the paper said that we would commence our public hearing at 7:30.
But I don't think we should go to a vote until,
No, I would wait till.
Absolutely.
Till afterwards for your.
in the event somebody's running late, or who knows? Okay.
Well, we have the camera here, so I'll take this time to say that October is Fire Prevention Month. And for our viewers and the people in the audience, check your smoke alarms, check them monthly, install carbon monoxide detectors. Also, do a escape route in your home and have at least 2 ways to get out in case of a fire. And fire prevention isn't just 1 month, do it daily. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Very nice.
Very proud.
You want to,
You want to talk about
we can talk about the truck financing?
okay?
Okay.
Uh,
So with that, we're gonna switch topics for a little bit, until somebody comes up with another question for the budget. And right now, we are looking to finance up to $250,000 for the purchase of a new fire apparatus. Neil, you want to give us the breakdowns?
All right, what we've done is, we have placed into the local paper a permissive referendum that indicates our existing equipment reserve truck fund of $808,000, and looking to perhaps take upwards of $600,000 out of the equipment reserve. And in addition to that, we have placed a notice for financing in a municipal lease purchase agreement of up to $250,000, of which we would ask, we are soliciting indications of interest, or actually they call letters of intent, I believe, Frank, of quotes at the next meeting. I have been in touch with Tompkins Mayapack Bank, I've been in touch with Chase, we have gotten a lot of information from M&T, one of our other banks that we have contacts with. TD Bank has also expressed an interest, so certainly we are looking at a 5 to 7 year, what's called a installment purchase contract, municipal lease program, something which several of our neighbors have also used. What we would do is we will be putting a notice in the paper that will then say that financing will be part of it. That particular piece, the $250,000 piece, would be a voter referendum that would take place, a special referendum on the night of December 9th, which is the same night as our commissioner election. And that referendum will be going in the paper fairly soon. The only referendum that's in there so far is the legal notice of the financing bid invitation. That's the first piece that went in, and the main reason why I got that piece in, because we wanted to advertise that at least it would be the opportunity to answer some questions tonight about that resolution tonight, should anybody have that. How does this factor into the budget? The initial numbers, bear with me 1 second, the initial numbers that I have, that we thought about when we were looking at something a little higher, let me just get a different spreadsheet here. And initially, we were thinking about a slightly larger number, which would have been of 400,000, and that also would have been factored into the budget under that line item of 503-01, which is fire apparatus appropriation. Originally, that was 87,000, because that 5-year term for that larger amount was about 87,222. That's based on a ballpark range in the 3 to 3.5% range. A $250,000 loan is going to drop it more to 56,000 on a 5-year. And what that then allowed us to do was to say, okay, we're going to take some more money out of the reserve, and some of the money that we would have been gearing towards the financing, we're going to be splitting and putting some back into the equipment line item. That allowed us to actually increase the equipment line item from 55,000 to 68.5, and also some additional money going back into the reserve on a slower basis. So, and once again, looking forward to trying to also go out that same evening with a resolution for the personal protection equipment that would be what's called a specific type reserve that we'd be in. One of our biggest stresses that we're having is, as you know, is on the equipment line item, is the personal protection equipment. That would alleviate some of the pressure that the chief is under as far as trying to fund the PPE if we had that extra reserve. And once again, I would be looking at the end of this year, depending upon where we are with some unexpended proceeds, to perhaps use some of that money to fund that reserve. So that's the lease piece, and how it factors in to, by having the lower amount, allowing more money to go back into the reserve and back into the equipment, and also obviously paying less interest over a 5-year period.
And who was the best offer?
Well, we don't, as far as the quotes yet,
Yeah.
we don't have really any, they're coming in on, they're supposed to send their quotes on November 10th. The only thing we have right now is indications of ballpark numbers in the 3 to 3.5 range.
So they're all in the same ballpark.
Well,
I would expect it. We met with M&T. That's the only one we've met with so far. I would expect them to be reasonably competitive.
Right. Any questions? No? All right. Great. Kevin, you have something?
Pertaining to the budget or pertaining to anything?
Well, pertaining to the topic of interest. What we're discussing.
No.
Thank you. Well. Now what?
Public session closed at 8 or
Yeah,
10 o'clock?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We normally wait an hour, don't we? Neil?
To the hour now?
Mr. Chairman, you could adjourn and accept written quotes for a certain amount of time.
And we're
You
accepting
could adjourn your public hearing and then accept written quotes.
Written questions.
Written questions for another week, or another 5 days, whatever. And you don't have to sit here for another hour.
Well, okay. I like that idea.
I mean, you're not lining up at the podium.
Frank,
I'd be okay with
you did?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
And we have to accept this budget, right?
Well, you're gonna have to accept the budget. So first, let's do that. Somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the budget 2015
As presented.
as presented.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Now we'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting and take written questions for 5 to 7 days, whatever you want to say.
A week.
A week is fine. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, thank you. And hope to hear from you soon.
You're watching Lewisboro Community Television, Channel 20.